Typography, my favorite aspect of design and something we're well known for here at Energy. Like its counterpart Adobe InDesign, Illustrator gives us a wealth of tools for creating, editing and formatting type in our document. Let's start out by finalizing our Le Cime dell'Italia logo with the addition of a single line of type, then discover how to place, format, flow and style paragraphs of body type on our various artboards, including running type around the outside of a circle for our DVD screen design. Okay, type in Illustrator comes in three flavors. We have type on a single line, type inside a shape, and type that flows around the outside of a shape, such as a circle, for instance. Now, we're going to use all three of these techniques to add the text copy to our designs. Now, we're going to start out by using a single line of type as a tagline for our main Italia logo over here and on each page. We're going to create basically a logo type. Now, the name of our bicycle tour company is called Le Cime dell'Italia, which I think I mentioned earlier means the tops of Italy. Cime is a term used in cycling circles to describe the summits of the highest mountains, which is perfect for this project. So we're going to use a single line of type to sort of finalize this logo. So if we come over here into the tools panel, you can see we have a type tool, and if we click and hold on it, a little bit surprising, we have 6 tools to choose from. Well, it's not as large as it seems when you access this menu. Basically, we have the initial type tool, then we have the area type for text inside a shape, and then we have type on a path for text around the outside of a shape. Both of these items can be accessed from the first one, okay? The other 3 that we have down here are for Asian markets and Asian type. You know, we can do vertically arranged type on the page, again, using those same 3 flavors of single line, inside a path, and outside of a path, okay? So in this instance, we're only going to use the type tool at the top. All right, perfect. Now we do want to make sure that over in our layers panel we are on the top logos layer, because the first line of type we apply is going to be part of a logo and not part of the general type that will appear here in our columns and over here on our A4 page. So that layer is highlighted. Let's just close that down, and I'm going to zoom up on our blue area up here at the top of our A3 page just so we can see clearly what we're creating. So all we need to do with the type tool to create a single line of type is simply click and let go. All right, as simple as that. And what we're going to do here is enter our type all in capitals and spell out Le Cime del and put a small apostrophe on the end, because then that carries on into the word Italia, okay? So we've generated our type. Now we want to go back to the main selection tool. Oddly enough, this is one of the places in Illustrator where you cannot use the V key to do so. And why not? Well, if you hit the V key, you type the letter V, okay? Let's delete that, go back to the main selection tool by literally clicking it. I just wanted to point that one out. Now the control panel at the top does give us access to a handful of text formatting options, not all of them, but certainly enough to give us a style at this point in time. So what we're going to do is let's come up here and change the type size to around 36 points, so it's decent size that we can see. And we'll also come over here into the font and choose a different typeface. Let's go down and choose Trajan Pro. It's a bit further down here, and this is one of the free fonts that installs with Illustrator. So that looks pretty good, and we'll also come over here where it says regular and choose bold. Okay, this is actually a really nice typeface, got a very Roman feel to it, which perfectly fits our theme as well. Now at the same time, we'll also come over to the color panel and make sure it's filled with white so that when we drop it next to our logo, we can see it against our carbon fiber background. Now, while this type looks okay, it definitely needs to be kerned and potentially letter space to give it more punch. Now, for those of you who are new to typographic terms, kerning is the adjustment of spacing between individual letters to ensure that the word doesn't have any glaring gaps between certain letter combinations. And letter spacing actually adds between all of the characters and allows you to, spread out a minimum number of characters to fill a bigger space. But the kerning is very important because it allows you to achieve much better looking type. Now, as an example of this, what we'll do is we'll come back to our type, and you can actually go back into a text line simply by double-clicking it. It's kind of like isolate mode, but you'll see it has selected the type tool and given you access into the type line itself, okay? So nice, easy double-click shortcut. What I'm going to do is go to the end of this line, just put in a space, and I'm going to type in capitals, W-O-V-I, okay? This really is a relevant type. It's not like it's an Italian word or anything else, but I want to show you an example of good versus bad kerning, all right? Now, once again, we'll go back to the main selection tool, and I'm going to zoom up on here so we can see the word more closely. Now, without any kerning applied, you can see that the space between the V and the I is standard, all right, but the space between the O and the V and the W and the O is not. So to me, this looks like we have W, O, and VI together. So we have three separate elements. Now, good kerning would then adjust the space between these two and sort of analyze the whole area so that it looks even and it reads smoothly and continuously, okay? And that's the process of kerning. Well, this is something you can do manually, and I know in a lot of design work that we do, you will want to do some manual kerning. It depends on the font and the style and everything else, but for the most part, Illustrator can do it for you. And what we need to do is pull up our character palette in order to access this. So if we go up to the window menu and come all the way down towards the bottom, you'll see that we have a type submenu. The first item in there is character. Keyboard shortcut actually is Command T or Control T on the PC, so you remember that one for future for bringing it up. Now you can see it gives us a palette, in fact it gives us three, that shows us the typeface and the style that we've already got, and it gives us our size. It also gives us leading or line spacing, and here we have the two options. We have kerning, as you can see, in between individual letters, and the letter spacing overall, or tracking, which is another term for it. So here we're currently set to auto kerning, which essentially means none. If we click on here and choose optical, have a look at the difference. The spacing has closed up. There's been a little bit more space applied here between the V and the I. The space has been reduced here between the O and the V, and now that to me looks like one continuous word. All right, if we undo, redo, have a look at what Illustrator's doing there. So optical kerning is a very important thing, all right? So you make sure you turn it on and use it as much as you possibly can to ensure that your type looks good and is more readable, especially in large headlines. That's really where it stands out. Okay, so we've got our optical kerning applied. What we can also do is, whilst we've got this letter selected, in fact, let's just double click and go back in and remove that WOVI at the end and come back to our original type. Let's go back to the selection tool. What we can also do, like I said, is add some tracking or letter spacing to this. And I'm just going to go to the flyout menu on the side here and push that out to a positive 100 value. Okay, so you see we get overall spacing applied, but our optical kerning is still being taken into account.